always a pleasure when we have the opportunity to have a team accompany us when we're doing mission in one of our FCF areas of the world. And while we've been in South Africa, we had the opportunity to have a team join us from New Jersey. And while the team was with us to begin with, some of the things that we did was we went to one of the FCF works. Pastor Ida, she has a children's school that she has developed and started. And as we entered into the property, the children came running out with signs to greet us. It was so heartwarming. It moved us to tears. It was so beautiful.
With the other plane. Yes. Where's the other plane? They're coming.
Our enemies be scattered. Let's go. Our enemies be scattered. Let's go. Let's go around. Let's go. Our enemies be scattered. Let's go.
Abraham had many sons. Many sons had Father Abraham. I am one of them, and so are you. So let's just praise the Lord. Right arm, left arm.
I'm so happy, so very happy. I found the love of Jesus in my heart. I'm so happy, so very happy. I found the love of Jesus in my heart.
Amen.
On the next day, we had the opportunity to go out and build some veggie tunnels. It was the first time I had an opportunity to be involved in putting up veggie tunnels. We were really fortunate that one of the young men on the team, his family happens to run a nursery, one of the biggest ones in the state of New Jersey. But we put up 3 veggie tunnels while we were there and had the opportunity to put some of the vegetables into the tunnels.
Groundswell of people who were not developed due to our political problems. Their schooling was neglected, sacrificed in many cases. Bottom line is, we have this enormous surfeit of people who are essentially, in today's world, unemployable.
Now, a veggie tunnel is kind of like a greenhouse, but it's designed for South Africa and its climate to enable in areas that are underprivileged to grow their own crops. And so the team actually financed those veggie tunnels through support and through their own personal giving. And so that was a real blessing for us to be involved in putting up the veggie tunnels. We drove several hours up to KwaZulu-Natal district and ministered in Newcastle. Bob and I ministered in the FCF Leadership Summit in that area, but the team, what opportunities they had. They went into area schools and orphanages. One of the schools they went into, which was a smaller school, had 700 students. Another school had over 3,000 students that they were able to minister the gospel of Jesus Christ to the students that were there.
What you guys to remember is that God loves you so much. And that no matter what, God will always love you. And that He sees each and every one of you as very special.
They had opportunities to do some outside street ministry with youth and preach the gospel, see some people make a decision for Jesus Christ. Truly, it was a really fruitful time up in Newcastle. They worked really hard, and there's much fruit that came out of the time in Newcastle and KwaZulu-Natal.
I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Under a bushel, no. I'm gonna let it shine.
The children were so responsive, but there were some children who were isolated because of being sick with AIDS, and our team it moved them so much to have the opportunity to minister to this orphanage and also see how well these children were taken care of. From Newcastle, we drove back that evening to Johannesburg, and the next morning got up early and went to an area called Rustenburg with another FCF minister who runs a men's shelter. These men had been involved in drugs and alcohol and all kinds of things, criminal activities, and they had found Christ and are at this shelter learning and growing in God. We had the opportunity to go there and to share a meal with them, minister the word to them, see God. And then we all worked together to plant a garden for them. Each one of us, they had tilled the land, prepared the land, and together with the members of the men's shelter, we put in a garden for the ministry and the work that was there. Well, you can't take a team to Africa and not take them on safari. So we had planned one day that they would have an opportunity to go to a safari park where they could see some game live out in the wilderness, in the field, in the bush. And our team members had their faith stretched to be able to see certain animals, and God was so good. We went to Pilanesberg.
I cannot guarantee we'll see everything or anything at all. I have radios and fronts for communication.
And while we were there, we saw 4 of the big 5. We saw rhino in abundance here and there, a few different places through the course of the day, at least 7 sightings of rhino, which is a rare sighting. Of course, you see zebra and giraffe and different kinds of antelope, lots of elephants, some of them very up close and personal. We had the rare privilege of seeing a spotting of a leopard, which was incredible. And at the end of the day, saw about 3 or 4 lions laying underneath a tree at a watering hole. God truly blessed us that day. It is a memory they will never forget. And in all of the ministry that they did, it was like God saying, I love you. You're special. I love what you've done. And He blessed them so richly in that day and all the things that we did and all the fun that we got to have together. We had one of the FCF ministers here in South Africa accompanying us. His name is Seth. The very last day that the team was with us, as they were preparing to fly that evening, we went into one of the informal settlements, what we would know as a shanty town. They went into an informal settlement there in Johannesburg. It's one of the largest in the city of Johannesburg to minister at a creche or a nursery that he provides food for. I think in all the ministry that they did, this one was one of the hardest. It is a very rough environment to go into, and the team went into this nursery ministering to the children that are literally pulled out of the environment, that cannot go to school because their parents do not have funds for them to go. And this creche is a safe place, it's a safe shelter so that they're not molested. There's so many people that are unemployed, and you have small children wandering about, that the ministry that they provide through this creche is a ministry that not only gives them care and gives them meals, but also is a shelter to protect them through the course of the day. Well, the team ministered to them, and when they came back, they were so overwhelmed to see the environment that they lived in, but also to have had the opportunity to provide food, because the team went out and some goods and foods were supplied. They had come well equipped with plenty of things to distribute and give to people that were in need. So it was a blessing to go back into a community like that and bring different kinds of supplies that would help them, that would minister to them, and also be able to feed them both the Word of God and to feed them physically. And so they were a great blessing, and they have made an eternal mark in the nation of South Africa, and they have truly planted fruit that is eternal, fruit that will remain.